4-3. It's amazing, isn't it? How an entire championship, all the work, all the hope of a season can just get boiled down to two little numbers on a screen.
And this wasn't just any score. This was the score, the final tally in the penalty shootout that decided the 2026 Copa del Rey final. I mean, that's the razor-thin margin between absolute joy and complete, utter agony. So, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down how Atlético Madrid, after putting up such a monumental fight, ended up losing the Copa del Rey final to Real Sociedad. We'll piece together the key moments and the fatal flaws that led to all that heartbreak.
To really understand what went wrong, we've got to start at the end. We need to go right back to the raw emotion of those final, decisive moments of the match. Just try to imagine the scene. A grueling 2 hours of football. Atletico fought their way back into the game twice, and the score is deadlocked at 2-2. The entire stadium is just holding its breath as the whole championship comes down to the cruelest way to decide a winner, a penalty shootout. And this is where it all fell apart. When the pressure was at its absolute highest, two of Atletico's key players, Alexander Sorloth and, get this, Julian Alvarez, the very guy who scored the late equalizer to get them there in the first place, both failed to score their spot kicks. Just unbelievable. Which brings us to the big question, right? It's a real puzzle. How does a team with so much grit, so much resilience, a team that clawed its way back into the game not once, but twice, end up falling at the very last hurdle? Let's dig in. To find the answer, we have to rewind and really look at the anatomy of the match itself. Because believe me, the seeds of this defeat were planted long before that penalty shootout ever started. The whole flow of this game was just pure chaos. Take a look at this timeline. It starts with an absolute disaster. They concede in just 14 seconds. But then, a quick response from Lookman. They fall behind again thanks to a penalty, only for Alvarez to rescue them with just 7 minutes of normal time left. It was a story of just relentless, non-stop fight back. But that fighting spirit, as incredible as it was, just couldn't hide some fundamental problems. We've managed to pinpoint three critical flaws that, in the end, cost Atlético Madrid the cup. Okay, let's start with the most obvious one. Conceding a goal in the first 14 seconds of a cup final. I mean, that's simply catastrophic. It sets a tone of panic and puts you on the back foot from the word go. And this wasn't just a one-off. It was a symptom of a deeper defensive weakness that haunted the team. Right, so this wasn't just about one bad moment. It was a pattern, a recurring nightmare of individual mistakes and a total lack of organization, and it always seemed to happen at the worst possible times. This second flaw was a real lack of composure when it counted the most. For all their amazing effort to fight back, when the ultimate pressure test came in the shootout, they just faltered. Finals are decided in these moments, and this one was absolutely no different. Now, it is so important to understand that this wasn't just a story about Atletico's own shortcomings. Nope, there was another major character in this drama. Real Sociedad's goalkeeper, Unai Marrero. He was, to put it simply, on another level. And that's the key point, really. While Atletico stumbled, Marrero rose to the occasion. The guy was a brick wall, making huge saves not just in the shootout, but all through the 120 minutes of play. Sometimes you just come up against an opponent who is in completely unbeatable form. For Atletico fans, this loss had to feel especially cruel. And why is that? Because for so many of them, this was a painful, painful case of history repeating itself. Just look at this. It's honestly a little spooky. Go back almost 4 decades to 1987. Atlético Madrid is in the Copa del Rey final. Their opponent, Real Sociedad. The outcome? A heartbreaking loss for Atletico. It's the exact same scenario. A haunting parallel that just makes this defeat sting that much more. So, after all the analysis, after looking at the history, we're left with one big question. Where does Atlético Madrid even go from here? A loss like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum, It can leave scars.
And now this team has to somehow pick themselves up for a massive Champions League semifinal against Arsenal. So the real question is, will this kind of defeat completely crush their morale, or will it actually fuel a desire for redemption? We're about to find out.